My dear brothers and sisters, welcome to our meeting of faith and reflection today. In response to a very special request from Our Lady, I invite each of you to leave in the comments, right now, the name of people who are in need of prayers and graces in their lives. We want to gather these names in our main prayer, praying with the Holy Rosary and begging the Mother of God to intercede for all of us. This moment is precious, because it unites us as a community of faith and reminds us that we are never alone in the battles we face. So, write down below, with all the confidence in your heart, the name of someone you love and feel needs a special grace, or even your own name if you are in need of a miracle. This is Our Lady's request, and we are certain that her protective hand rests on each of these intentions. The story I tell you today is as surprising as it is shocking, and I begin by asking you to pay attention to every detail, because many have told me that they felt goosebumps and even fear when they understood the depth of the facts. It all began in a small rural community, where there was a beautiful image of Our Lady displayed in front of the local church. On a day of prayer and communion, several faithful gathered to pray and give thanks for the blessings they had received. A pastor from a nearby congregation was also present, invited by the community to participate as a sign of Christian fraternity. But, in the midst of that devotional atmosphere, an atheist man appeared, who not only declared himself a non-believer, but also used to publicly mock other people's faith, openly questioning people's devotion and the very existence of a God who intervenes in human history. That figure, full of skepticism and harsh words, seemed ready to provoke everyone who was gathered there to praise. From the very beginning, the atheist made his discomfort and his goal clear: to dispel the faith of those simple people, classifying them as ignorant and naive for venerating a statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary. The invited pastor watched everything with a suspicious look, not knowing exactly how to react. In his religious conception, revering images was also not part of the practice, but out of respect, he preferred to remain silent, simply observing the fervent way in which those faithful gathered in prayer before the image of Our Lady. The prayers continued intensely and full of devotion, while the atheist ridiculed each Our Father and each Hail Mary that echoed in the small square in front of the church. Some of the faithful were afraid that this affront could attract some kind of punishment or spiritual discomfort, since words of denial and disrespect can open doors to forces that we do not fully understand. The tension increased as the atheist got closer and closer to the statue, seeming to want to discredit everyone. However, a simple and very humble believer, who always participated in pastoral activities and had a heart full of charity, approached the atheist and made an unexpected and respectful invitation. "Come pray with us." At first, the man scoffed, rejecting the offer and making a point of showing his disdain for the Catholic faith. But, faced with the calm and loving insistence of that believer, something began to change. It was as if a divine breath invaded the place, awakening curiosity in the atheist's heart. Even against his declared will, he agreed to stay close to the prayer group, perhaps to observe better or even to find new ways to criticize. What no one expected was that this proximity would allow something even stronger and more mysterious to happen, surprising even the pastor who, from his place, maintained a skeptical stance about the intervention of images in moments of collective prayer. As the prayers intensified, the atheist, at a certain point, reached out his hand to touch the statue of Our Lady, possibly with the intention of belittling that sacred symbol in front of all the believers. But, as soon as his skin touched the image, a shiver ran through his entire body, something he himself was unable to explain. A feeling of warmth and profound peace took hold of his heart, and, in the blink of an eye, absolute silence fell over the square. The people who witnessed the scene did not know whether to feel fear or reverence, because it was as if a divine force was manifesting itself there in an extraordinary way. At first, the pastor could not believe what he was seeing, opening and closing his mouth a few times in total disbelief, because he had always preached that such images were just inert representations. However, the truth was undeniable. The atheist man, who until recently had mocked everyone, began to cry uncontrollably, in a true encounter with the sacred that was transforming his entire being. The sudden conversion of that atheist left the community in ecstasy. Some of the faithful knelt down, thanking God for witnessing such a miracle before their eyes. The pastor, astonished, approached cautiously, still unable to believe that he was witnessing such a clear and powerful spiritual manifestation. That man who had previously shown so much pride and disdain, now found himself overcome by a faith he had never experienced. Trembling, he apologized to the faithful, confessing that he had never felt anything so strong. The pastor, in turn, also had to review his understanding and rethink the way he viewed devotion to the Blessed Virgin. Although he still maintained his personal theology, the impact of that event did not allow him to deny that there was a movement of God's grace there, stirring hearts and achieving the improbable. And so, the news spread throughout the region, with witnesses telling how touching a statue of Our Lady had been able to provoke not only the astonishment of a skeptical pastor, but also the conversion of a man who called himself a convinced atheist. When we stop to reflect, brothers, we realize that this impact-filled story finds an echo in our daily lives, in every gesture of solidarity and in every word of love that we can offer to others. How many times, in everyday situations, do we see people who believe in nothing beyond what they can see and who, suddenly, feel embraced by a greater force, whether in the face of the illness of a loved one or a financial challenge that seems insoluble? These experiences remind us that daily prayer, even if simple, is a very powerful tool. By praying the Holy Rosary, by praying with devotion and asking for the conversion of hardened hearts, we can experience true miracles, not necessarily in the sense of extraordinary phenomena, but of real transformations in people's conduct, attitude, and perception of life. That is why it is so important to cultivate faith in our daily lives, inviting those around us to join us in prayer, just as that simple believer humbly invited the atheist in our story. This example also reminds us of the importance of forgiving and seeking peace in our hearts. We often live surrounded by situations of resentment, hurt, and misunderstandings, and we end up carrying a burden that is too heavy to bear. However, when we are willing to pray every day, to exercise compassion, and to ask Our Lady to intercede for us, we begin to see people with more understanding and less judgment. Conversions can happen as unexpectedly as in that episode with the atheist, and it is the strength of our faith that allows these miracles to gain space in real life. Once again, I ask everyone to leave in the comments the name of someone who needs prayer, a relative, a friend, even someone you consider distant or skeptical, because we never know how God's grace will act in people's hearts, bringing them closer to Him. So, my beloved ones, what do you think of everything you just heard? Did the story move you in any way? Leave your comments below about this profound and inspiring topic, and don't forget to tell us if you've ever witnessed something similar. We'd love to hear your opinion, because it's through sharing that our faith grows even stronger. And before we end, remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel to follow more stories, reflections, and prayers. May God's blessing and Our Lady's protection be present in your life and in the lives of those you love. A big fraternal hug to all of you, and may God be with you.